screens ready. And this is a live class. You can chat with me and other students using the chat field there at the bottom corner of your screen. You can also email me questions if you'd like. That's my email address there. Hope you all can hear me. Just some logistics. You should be able to hear me. I cannot hear you. You should be able to see me. Hello. I cannot see you. And we'll be starting in just a few seconds. It's scheduled to begin in about a minute. And again, we had about 1,500 students register for this live class. And so if you wanted to chat with the other students, you can. You just use your chat button there. And if you wanted to ask me any questions, feel free during the live class. I probably won't be able to answer everyone's question. There'll be way too many to do that, but you could always email me, and my email address is right there. So I'm Ben Gromicko from InterNACHI. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. We're the world's largest organization of residential and commercial property inspectors. We essentially train inspectors of all types all over the world. And we do live home inspection classes online and open to everyone, and they're free, just about once a month. And if you wanted to join the next one, or if you have to leave this one and you missed the part of it that you wanted to see, no problem. We video record all of our classes, and they're all available at that URL at the bottom of the slide there, nachi.org/webinar. That's my email address. And if you wanted to contact anyone on staff, there's our contact page URL. So click nachi.org/contact. And before we do a home inspection, we're going to do a home inspection. We're going to review hundreds of images of a home inspection that I did. We're going to review the video that I took, the inspection report itself, and a few other things. But before we get there, let's talk about tools that I like to use during a home inspection. The standard ones you all have, right? A flashlight. But Inspector Outlet is a really great store. It's InterNACHI's e-commerce partner. Go to inspectoroutlet.com, and there you'll find some really good flashlights that are small, handy, and high lumens, very powerful lights. But you'll find a bunch of other tools there too, including, this is a tool, this is a marketing tool. This is a home maintenance book. You give one to every client. They're only a couple bucks each, and you can see that they're pre-drilled to snap into a 3-ring binder. And that's part of your marketing. So when I did an inspection, at the end of the inspection, I would print out a summary sheet. It's only a page or two long. So to give it actual physical weight, I would put the summary sheet in, my signed agreement, copy of my signed agreement, this home maintenance book. I'd sign my client up for the homeowner newsletter. InterNACHI has a homeowner newsletter, 5 years of free monthly newsletters for your homeowners. And I'd put it in a binder and give it to them. So this is a fantastic way to add value to your inspection. We also have it in Spanish. And tools, well, a really good certified home inspector is actually a really good moisture inspector. So moisture meters are really good. They give you some quantitative results, but I like the qualitative stuff. So there's a difference. Quantitative gives you numbers. Qualitative just gives me an idea of anomalies. This is a non-invasive one with an attachment feature with probes by Tramex and X-Tech. There's another moisture meter. It's a dual moisture meter. This one's really good if you're into indoor air quality. That's a humidity moisture meter. Like if you're in an attic and it feels humid up there, maybe there's a dryer vent exhausting into the attic and you're not quite sure, you want to come down with a moisture meter, humidity meter to show your client. Here's a GFCI receptacle tester, AFCI tester. That one's from X-Tech. I used to use Ideal, the yellow one. I like to measure the approximate depth of the insulation in the unfinished spaces. You're actually required to do that. X-Tech makes a really good thermometer. It's a laser thermometer, so you can point it at something. I used to do this with electric baseboard heaters, and in the north, in cold climates, we have boilers and radiators. So you just go around, instead of using your hand to figure out if the heating system, if every room has a heat source with radiators, just use that, and you could do an entire house in about a minute. There are many different kinds of moisture meters. This one is an infrared camera, and it's from FLIR, and it pops onto your iPhone. This is for iPhone 5. They're coming out with iPhone 6 and Droid. From Inspector Outlet, if you take off the dead front cover of electrical panel, you're not required to. Here's some magnet handles to hold that panel safely. You know, some of you are in states that require you have to measure the flow or pressure of the water. I also carry swab sticks. If I see indications of mold, I turn to my client and say, would you like me to swab something to confirm that it's mold? Although if you see mold, testing is really unnecessary. We all have this, a tick tracer, a ticker, just to make sure that nothing's live. And here's a good one. The microwave detector. So you stick this in a microwave with a cup of water, turn it on for 10 seconds. The light bulbs detect the microwaves flowing through it, and they shine. I take a picture of it. It's the shock and awe of doing a home inspection in the kitchen. And also, if you like to sit back and read, Inspector Outlet also sells all of our textbooks from InterNACHI's courses. And this is a really good one. It's the safe practices for the home inspector course. And one of the best books that I could recommend was actually written by the founder of InterNACHI, Nick. It's How to Run a Successful Home Inspection Business. It's a huge book. It's like a textbook, college level. And you can order that from inspectoroutlet.com. All right, so let's do a home inspection. Oh, offer. So for those of you who are attending this live class, so we have an offer for you. It should be appearing on the right side of your screen under the pop-ins. And it's 50% off your first year membership. This is for non-members who are attending this live class. If you happen to be watching it on YouTube after the class, that's not available. So you have about an hour left to join. If you're interested in joining, just click the button that says I'm interested, and it takes you to a page, and you can choose to join InterNACHI as a member. Your first year membership is half off. Why would you join InterNACHI? Well, you can join InterNACHI. That would be your first step. As soon as you join InterNACHI, you become a member of the organization, and that provides you with a lot of benefits. The main one is you have free unlimited access to all of the online training courses and certifications. They're all online and free to members. Whenever you're ready, whenever you feel you want to be certified, you can become certified. You can choose from over 30 certifications that we offer, and it's all online and free to members, no additional cost to be certified. So when you join InterNACHI, a whole world of opportunity essentially opens up to you. So join InterNACHI, and we have an offer here. And if you're interested, just click that button. And you have until the end of this live class. All right, so it looks like everyone can hear me. We have a lot of people from different places, Texas, Ontario, Mexico. So thank you for all joining. And again, everyone says that the sound is good, and you are all asking questions. Once again, I don't think I'll be able to answer all of your questions during the live class because 1,500 students registered for the live class, although I will get to them via email. let's start. We're going to inspect this house. I inspected this house a while back, and I follow the standards of practice. And the standards of practice are at this URL, and we'll start with the roof. This is how I start my home inspection. Some inspectors start in the kitchen, some do other things. I start on the roof because it's part of my brand. My brand is for me to be on the roof prior to my client showing up to the house, because I like to wave to my client when they're in the driveway from the roof. Kind of shows that they hired the right inspector. Now, why do I go up on the roof? I'm not required to. According to the standards of practice, you are not required to walk upon any roof surface. Yet, that's the standard, and it's a minimum. The standards of practice is a minimum of what you are required to do, and not what you're not required to do, right? You have to meet at least the minimum standard. You're allowed to exceed it, and I exceed it in one particular way for all of my clients. I get up on the roof. I'm trained to do so. I've taken training courses, and I've built homes. So I'm very comfortable with going up on the roof. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. You are required to inspect the roof, at least from the ground level. You can use binoculars. You can stay on the ground. You can use a spectroscope from Inspector Outlet to inspect the roof with your camera 30 feet up in the air with your feet on the ground. Not allowed, not required to go up on the roof. I do because it's part of my brand. And my brand is, it answers the question why I should hire you instead of the other inspector. So you develop your brand, and one part of my brand is I get up on the roof if I can. In this home, I actually couldn't, because the roof was damp, it's slippery, it's 15 years old, so the granular surface won't adhere. So I bring up my 28-foot fiberglass ladder, and I stick it on different sides of this roof. And I explain to my client why I can't get up upon the roof, but from what advantages did I inspect the roof from? So I'll put my ladder up against the roof, and I take pictures. I take at least 50 to 100 pictures just on the roof, just about the roof. Every roof plane, every roof intersection, valley, ridge, edges, anything that penetrates the roof covering material, I'm taking pictures of it, and close-up shots like this. The arrow I added to my slide. I do not spend any time adding arrows or circles or underlines or stars on my digital images that I stick in my inspection report. What a waste of time. Use your hand, use your finger, point to something. You have to make your inspections quick. The process needs to be quick. You can do 2 inspections a day if you are efficient with your time. Don't waste your time. Your client is waiting for you to write a report too. So don't be doing little arrows. Just put your finger in there. This arrow I added just for this class. And I want to get up close to the roof covering material so I can see what's going on. This is a 15-year-old roof. It's approaching the end of its service life. It's probably a 20, 25-year shingle. So been beaten by some weather. This is a northern climate. The winters are harsh. The rains are hard. So I want to take a look at the condition of the material, looking for any missing parts, cracked shingles, blown off tabs. There's discoloration, no big deal. That's cosmetic. There's roof penetrations. You're required to inspect the flashing around anything that penetrates the roof covering material. There's a chimney, that's part of a roof penetration system. And it looks okay. Backside's in shade, that's why we have discoloration and a little bit of moss growth. No big deal, cosmetic. Some corrosion, galvanic corrosion. That's we have a course that describes that, a couple articles. Whenever zinc is in contact with metal, 2 dissimilar metals touching each other, you're going to have that. It can be serious, but typically it doesn't go all the way through, although I like to, if I can, touch it, squeeze the pipe, tap on it, hit it with my screwdriver, which is one of the most handy tools that an inspector can have. And this is not just a regular screwdriver. It has attachments, yeah? And so you pull it apart, it's flathead or Phillips. And then if you needed to take off a cover, let's say I always want to take off the front cover of the evaporator so I can see the fins. And so you pull this off and you get a 1/4 inch and 3/8. And so it's very handy. back to the inspection. Chimney, I'm looking at the flashing too. If there's step flashing, great. Apron flashing, flashing all around, all the sides. As I'm coming down the roof, I'm on my ladder and I'm coming down, and I might as well take advantage of looking at the second floor windows or the tops of the first floor windows. And I'm concerned about all the flashing details. This is a cosmetic application to the vinyl siding. There's a lot of silicone that has been added, and it doesn't really matter what's going on. It's cosmetic. The silicone is, you know, you should be able to remove this piece, this decorative piece, and still have proper flashing at the head of the window. So as I'm going through the systems, I start with the roof, and I'm thinking of how water is shed off of this structure. It starts with the top. This house is in Pennsylvania, which we call Pennsylvania, so there's a lot of rain. I'm following the slope of the roof covering, thinking of how water is controlled. It's caught by some gutters, some downspouts, but I'm also looking at the siding as well. I have to think how water moves around. If I keep that in my mind, I actually guide my inspection. My visual inspection is guided by how I think water moves off of the structure of the house. So I'm looking at the top, left, and right corners of every window, every door, looking for header flashing, sealant, openings. Things need to be shedding water away, and that usually pops up a lot of things. So I take great consideration with my camera of all the details. As I'm taking pictures, if I force myself to take hundreds of pictures, I'm taking pictures of just about everything, and I'm forcing my eyes to follow my camera lens and what it's focusing on. And I pick up on stuff. So I want to make sure that the aluminum capping, even at the corner of the structure, is done properly. Looking at the siding, the windows, the ventilation at the soffit. Taking pictures forces me to inspect every system and its components, right? And here's a discharge pipe from the downspout diverting water away from the house. That's good. I want that. Oh, and when I'm up on the roof, part of my brand is to take video of the roof. So I'm taking video of the roof inspection. I can't walk on the roof, remember, but I can take a bunch of pictures from my vantage points and video. And then that's part of my brand. My brand is what distinguishes me from the other certified inspectors in my market. Well, hardly anyone was doing video, particularly of the roof. So I go up on the roof, and at the end of the inspection, I go up on the roof, shoot some video. At the end of the inspection, I get my computer, I turn it around, and I play the video of the roof inspection for my client. And my client is just amazed and really finds great value in my service, because no one's allowed up on the roof except me. But I wanted to show them exactly what I saw, particularly if I observe indications of a defect. Then I want to show them in a couple ways, with images and also video. It's very impressive. And you put that brand message, marketing, on your website, so that while you're sleeping or while you're away, people visiting your website understand a little bit more about why they should hire you. Oh, he goes up on the roof, he carries tall ladders, he carries digital cameras, and he shoots video of the roof. That's a huge, big brand that separates me from my competition. Here's the inspection report. Another part of my brand is I put a lot of photos in my inspection report. It's really a visual report. Not a lot of technical things. And if I want to talk about maintenance, I don't put maintenance issues in my inspection report. I simply refer to the home maintenance book. This does all the talking for me about how the home works in detail and how to maintain it. It also has a chapter on how to save energy. Give every client a home maintenance book, especially InterNACHI's. So this is the system, the roof system, and I break it down into components, essentially. General description of the asphalt covering materials, method of evaluation, estimated age, its condition, the number of layers. Ideally, we want one layer of asphalt roof covering, flashing, and then, if I can go to the next set of pages, we also talk about the ventilation, gutters and downspouts, And then the chimney system is part of the roof system. I kind of think those two could go together. Remember, you write the report any way you like, except if you're in a state like Texas. Texas is another one, where there is a standard form and you really have challenges in making your report different and adding to the report and changing the standard report that is required by law, state law. So Texas is difficult. Chimney pipe, chimney flashings, and let's see. So our legal counsel at InterNACHI wrote an article about what a home inspector says and shouldn't say. And there's one recommendation that's really important I like to share. You shouldn't say no visible evidence of, and then your defect. It's not recommended. What you really should say is the following. I did not observe any indications of defect during my inspection. A lot of home inspectors use the top one, the not recommended phrase. No visible evidence of blank. Two reasons. The word visible means that somebody could argue with you in a court of law, maybe, that it was visible. And remember, your duty is not to report everything that is visible. Your duty is to report only what you observe and deem material to be a material defect. So saying this was visible or this was not visible is not a good idea, because somebody could argue that it was visible. And using the word evidence kind of connotes permanence. And we all know as home inspectors, conditions can drastically change. So if you say no visible evidence, evidence means, oh, that evidence was there, it's going to stay there. It'll always be there during your inspection, before your inspection, after your inspection, right? So you really want to say that I did not observe any indications of, indications connotes, it could change. I did not observe any indications of defect when, during my inspection. So that's a recommended phrase. And remember, your duty is to report only what you observe and deem material, not everything that's visible. So there's a little recommendation there. If you want some free online courses, there's our main education page. Free online training and education for members is at nachi.org/education. Let's go to the exterior. Well, the SOP, what does the SOP say about the exterior? Let's see. So you go to the standards of practice and you scroll down a little bit and you click the button that says exterior. It goes there and it says inspectors shall inspect. What? The exterior wall coverings, all exterior doors, walkways, driveways, stairs, stoops, steps, stairways, ramps, porches, patios, decks, balconies, all of these things you're required to inspect. You're also required to describe the wall covering materials and shall report as in need of correction any improper spacing in between the spindles and rails. That's really important because we inspect existing homes. And when that home was built, it probably met all of the building standards at that time. But now, kids have been falling through railings that have very large, wide spaces. They get their heads through or they fall completely through. And we don't want that to happen. So let's inspect the exterior. This is part of the inspection that I enjoy most. It's very easy to do, not a lot of pressure. I take my client around. I come down the ladder. I tell my client about the roof condition. Then I take my client around the exterior. Very briefly, just show them here and there. And then I send them inside and let them take measurements and look at the kitchen and all that stuff. And then I go around the exterior one more time in detail. And again, I'm thinking of how water moves. We want the grading, the grounds around the structure to be sloped away. And we want water to shed away. We don't want anything pulling up against the house. And we have graphics to illustrate, help communicate to your client what is ideal. You want rainwater to just wrap around and drain away. And these graphics and illustrations are available to all of our members for free. So you click the gallery link there, and you get to the gallery of thousands of illustrations. And they're all downloadable. You can put them in your report, and they're high res. And there's a graphic there about some perforated drain pipe. around the foundation, as an example. All right, let's get back to the exterior. So think about water, particularly in this house. Window wells, this house is a basement. This is a northern climate area, so it has a basement in this house, downspouts, some minor cracking at the nice parging, cement parging around the foundation, cracking at the mortar joints. Looks like a weed whacker or a lawnmower cracked the siding, the vinyl siding. These are minor things, but as I'm taking digital pictures of everything, it forces me to look down and above in detail. And I take pictures of everything and I actually share them, all those photos I give to my client, and I put the important ones in my inspection report. And we have a class on how to write an inspection report. All the parking, all the sidewalks, all the steps. We have a high step here, a trip hazard. This is way too high. My grandma wouldn't be able to handle that step. And then I take a look at, when I get to a door or a window, I tend to look at the top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left corners. And if it's wood, then I'm really paying attention and I'm tapping. I'm doing a prick test or a tap sound test. I want to hear that it's solid. I want to look for wood that's rotten. So there's the rear exterior slider door, bottom right corner, I get to wood rot. No big deal. It holds up the tread on the slider a little bit. It really should be replaced. There's the dryer hood, or maybe it's a bathroom exhaust hood. It's cracked. There's the siding. There's a hole in the siding, maybe a baseball, football from the side yard. The bay window needs flashing, good shingle material. This is loose siding, so they applied the siding without any flashing on top. It has a drainage plane below, but it certainly would be a good idea to stop that water from going behind the vinyl siding. It wasn't installed properly according to the window flashing. GFCIs and the water spigot was frozen. The handle was frozen for some reason. That's a frost-free hose bib, by the way, and a water meter on the outside. The exterior report. We've got the exterior system. We have surface water management component of the report, the house wall coverings, the vinyl siding was damaged, driveway and parking, patio and porch steps and handrails, exterior water faucets. Let's see to the next set of pages, the last page of the exterior. We have GFCI, public water, gas meter. So there's gas supplied to the house. So that triggers me. I know maybe I have a water source that's gas fired, a heating system that's gas fired. And some of the screens are missing in the windows. So I wanted to tell my client of that, have the seller install the screens. Certification programs. We have over 30 certifications from which to choose once you become a member. And you can become certified whenever you're ready at no additional cost. You simply join InterNACHI, that's step one. And step two is get certified. So let's say you want to be a certified home inspector. Well, that's our CPI logo. It's a federally registered trademark, CPI. Or a home energy inspector. I think all home inspectors should be home energy inspectors, and we train and certify you to be that. If you're in the United States, we have software, free software, that you could use to write a home energy report within 4 minutes after a home inspection. So it's very easy to produce a home energy report while you are a certified home energy inspector through InterNACHI. And that's at nachi.org/certification. Let's do heating and cooling. There's an air conditioner unit, compressor unit, condenser unit on the outside. It's really beat up, original to the house, 15 years old. All the fins have been hit by all kinds of toys, and it's off level. It should be leveled a little bit more. I take a look at the suction line, the refrigerant lines, the suction line and liquid line, and the electric disconnect should be in sight, within reach. I take a picture of the micro picture of the labeling, manufacturer's label. That tells me a lot of things about the size. We help you in our training courses determine the size, general rule of thumb situations. The fins are really damaged, and that lowers the efficiency a bit, and that could be adjusted. gas meter on the house. So that tells me that there's fuel supplied to the house. I'm not sure what systems are supplied, but I'm inspecting the exterior system, but I have to, right now when I'm doing the exterior, I'm also looking at other systems. A house is a system of interdependent parts. One system affects just about all others. So you have to think in this approach that a house is a system of interdependent parts, each part affecting one another. So as you're doing the exterior, you're also bumping into components of other systems. And this is the gas shutoff valve, and then I'm inside. And then I'd like to take my client around when I'm inside, tell them where the thermostat is. If it's standard, replace it with a programmable to save energy. It's a huge return on investment. It's very easy to do. And there's the heating system. So from 10 feet away, can you tell me if it's low efficiency, mid efficiency, or high efficiency? Well, I see a galvanized flue pipe. It's not PVC plastic, so it's not high efficiency. That's a good indication that it's not high. And I don't see an open draft hood, so I know it's not low. So that leaves mid. And mid has not a pilot, not a standing pilot. It has an ignition pilot, and it has a draft fan, induced draft fan for the exhaust. It sucks air through the heat exchanger and blows it out through the chimney stack. And that fan there was, there was something wrong with it. It was rattling. And it was also, I see excessive heat coming out of the gasket area, which is a really big hazard. I don't want all that carbon monoxide maybe entering the basement. Components of the heating system is gas shutoff valve, pilot light, burners, electric shutoff switch, service switch. To get to the air filter, that's a monthly thing here. This is a very low efficiency HVAC duct air filter, and it's being sucked into the blower fan actually. There's refrigerant lines. We saw those same lines on the outside at the condenser unit for the air conditioner, the evaporator coils on top of the heating system, and this forced duct HVAC system. I don't see any condensate problems. The burners are dirty. I try to turn it on and take a look at the flames. There's a couple of indications from flame color and pattern that you can deduce from, and the burners themselves are dirty here. And the condensate should have a water trap. You don't want to be sucking things into the ductwork through an open condensate drain pipe. And the drain pipe, this is a common thing with some builders. They stick the drain pipe in a hole and they drain it under the basement floor. Ideally, it would go into a pump and properly controlled and discharged, either outside or into a sewer system. Typically, it goes outside. There's the flue pipe going to the chimney. It looks like the stack, the main flue stack is going through ductwork, which would be a huge violation, but it's not. They're separated. And there's a clean out if you wanted to open it up. The heating system report. There's the heating system, general information. Usually that's what I do. I identify the system of the report that I inspected in the home, heating system, and then general information about the type of heating system and the thermostat, electric shutoff switch, gas shutoff valve, gas burners, flue pipe and connection, the draft fan, significant rust and corrosion, and it was rattling, hazardous, poor condition, replacement recommended by professional. Air filter was being sucked into the blower. Service record, I always pay attention to the service record. An HVAC system like this should be serviced every year, and we should see a tag. And if it's not tagged with a recent date within the year, I make that recommendation. That's very easy for me. It's a date. If it's not within a year, I recommend someone come in. So I can find the conditions of the system, but really I'm relying upon my recommendation of that HVAC professional to get there prior to closing, before my client buys the home, and service and clean the unit, and also look for further problems that I may not have seen. It may not have been observed, or it may not be within my scope. but making a recommendation for a HVAC professional to come in based upon a lack of maintenance, according to the service record, is a great recommendation. Cooling. So we have the cooling system. Identify in general terms what it is. It's not level. The condenser is really beaten up. Electrical disconnect. The fins, oh, here's the fins. They're beaten up. The age is 16 years old. That's an older unit, and a little bit of information about what an evaporator is. And we have also the condensate drainage. That's a problem. And the service record is a problem. So, did you ever recommend that the HVAC system should be replaced? Either the heating system or the cooling system or both? We actually have a chart that helps you make that decision and recommendation if you're interested. So let me move this over. You go to that URL, and I can bring this over. If you can't remember that URL, don't worry. You can just email me. We have a course about how to inspect HVAC efficiency, and we have a chart here. And this comes from the Department of Energy Building America Department. So you could always refer to this according to this department of the government. It's simply a flow chart. Is the system broken? No. Is the system, oh, here we go. Is the system broken? No. Is the system over 15 years old? Let's say it's yes. Then the federal government says it's our recommendation that this heating system be replaced because it's so inefficient according to the year that you would, in long-term investment, you would save money. It would essentially pay for itself, the new HVAC system. Is the system over 15 years old? No. Is the system inefficient? Well, you have to see if it's, identify the type of efficiency. And based upon that, it's either consider some home improvements or replace the system. So there's this flow chart here, and we have one for heating and cooling systems within our HVAC course, which is online and free for our members. All right, so let's see. Let's go to checking out everything. I'm looking at the questions. A lot of people are asking questions, and I'm going to let you ask, and then I will answer later via email to you, okay? So let's go, because we're more than halfway through the scheduled class, and we want to make sure that we get to everything. HVAC systems, that's the heart and lungs of the system of a house, and you really should get, there's a ton of courses you should be taking through InterNACHI. They're all online and free to our members. You can't get enough training on HVAC. It's really important to be able to understand how the HVAC system works. And we have some really great courses, and a lot of it is online video. And so we have a couple of experts talking about all the different types of systems, from low efficiency to very high efficiency. Step by step, we show you how the system goes through its cycles and timing and activating. We take apart some of the wiring and show you what the wiring is, the safety parts of the units. It's a really great course. If you haven't taken our online HVAC video course, you really should. You really should. So the plumbing system. According to the standards of practice, there's a few things that you need to inspect and report and describe. How I do it is I think of how water flows. Now I'm thinking about how water flows inside the house. On the outside, we want that water to flow away. On the inside, we want to think about how water comes in and how it's discharged out and how it's ventilated, the vent pipes, drain pipes. So water comes in from the street, underground, through water shutoff valves. There's one there, through the meter, and through another shutoff valve in case it needs to be replaced. And then there's a jumper cable. So there's a water valve, water meter, shutoff valve, check valve to prevent water from going backwards into the system, public system, and there's a jumper cable. So as I inspect, this is how I inspect, I take pictures. Shutoff valve, meter, another meter, check valve, jumper cable. Hot water source. I take pictures as I inspect, and that's how I put it in the report as well. There's the system pictures, break it down into components. In the report, system, break it down into components. So it's all the same. It's related to each other, how I inspect and how I write reports. There's the system, hot water source, details about the manufacturing. There's the control. We understand a few things from here, that it has a FEIR safety system at the bottom. It has a manual control. It has an igniter, so you don't have to use a match. It's a natural draft. There's a draft hood, so I'm looking for backdrafting problems, issues. There's a shutoff valve, cold water comes in, hot water goes out. Gas shutoff valve, water shutoff valve, gas shutoff valve, and the safety valve, TPR valve, discharging to the floor. In some states, they require it to be discharging elsewhere, maybe in a safety catch pan or a drain pipe. Some codes are enforced. So the local authority having jurisdiction can overrule any of your recommendations, because the local authority having jurisdiction is the local authority having jurisdiction. So if they say this discharge pipe should be going into a drain, that's the rule in that area. But in general, what we want is a TPR valve on a hot water source discharging towards the floor, near the floor. So if it does discharge, no one gets hurt above the toe or ankle. Because we have a check valve on the water coming in and there's a hot water source, water expands and pushes pressure on the lines, and it can't go back into the public system because of the check valve. So it needs to expand, and the bladder balloon helps that. There's the main drainage pipe. The drain line from the house is cast iron. There's the clean out. The rest of the pipes are PVC, Schedule 40, and I follow it as much as I can. So I'm going backwards. There's, discharge sewage, discharge this way, but I'm going backwards, and I'm finding the toilets and the stacks to go up to the first floor or second floor bathrooms and fixtures. And it allows me to go through where I should be going through. I'm trying to follow. I'm looking for really plumbing leaks. And then as I'm looking for plumbing leaks, following the line, the drainage line, drain waste vent lines, I'm looking at other components of other systems, the structural components. This is a floor structure, engineered floor trusses. So I'm looking for anything wrong with there. And I come across a smoke detector as well. So the plumbing report, general header, description of the drain waste vent pipes, the types of material and the condition, the public water supply, the water meter, check valve and expansion tank, a little explanation of how those two are related, jumper cable at the meter, water supply pipes, the types of material, water gas heater, and the next set of pages. Some more photographs. It's very visual. My reports are really like very big, thick business cards or flyers or brochures. That's how I thought of my inspection reports as well, as one of the benefits of spending some time every day tweaking your narratives. So after the inspection, or after all of your inspections of the day, you are always tweaking your narratives. I use a mobile device also to write my reports. I wrote my reports as I inspected, and while I'm inspecting, if I see something custom, I have to add that sentence in. I do so at the inspection, and then I confirm it at my office at the end of the day that it was written well. And then my reports are always improving, and the way I inspect is always improving, because if I can't write it well, then I must be doing something with my inspection service. So I need to tweak my inspection service and mirror my inspection service with my report. Relief discharge pipe, water catch pan is recommended. It wasn't installed. I don't care that the water source is in the basement with an unfinished floor. I want a water catch pan. Electric meters on the outside of the house. I saw this when I was inspecting the exterior, but here's the meter on the outside, 200 amp line going in, grounding cable, to a rod, main shutoff disconnect. It's labeled. Some of the breakers are not well labeled. Every breaker should have a distinct particular labeling specific to where it goes, what it services. You are not required to remove the dead front cover off. I don't recommend it. You're not required by the standards of practice. But if you do, personal protection, right? Personal protection equipment. You want gloves, you want safety gear, you want to protect your eyes. This isn't high voltage commercial stuff, but still something could happen. Protect those eyes, protect your hands. Don't do it unless you've been trained. Here's the inside, and what I saw was, what I like to do at the electrical panel is before I take the cover off, I like to take a picture of all of the breakers and make sure that they're all on. If there are any off, I want to take a micro shot of it, get up close. I want to see if it's been turned off or tripped off. If it's either one is potentially hazardous, but you shouldn't turn it on. Never turn on a breaker. If it's tripped, that's an indication of electrical problem. If it was a trip breaker, if it's been turned off, then something has been disconnected, and you may want to ask the seller to identify what's going on. Why is a breaker off? But anyways, you get a picture of before and after. If you are going to open up the cover or remove the dead front cover or do anything like that. And what I have here is, where is it? There it is. It's a double tap. So I have 2 wires going into a breaker, 15-amp breaker. And I don't like that. So I'm going to put that in my report. But everything else looks really good. I don't have any problems. Cable, phone, doorbell, electric lines, they can be stapled, but that's okay. And the inspection sticker. When I have a finished basement, I want to make sure that there's a permit. So a lot of inspectors pull permits from the county or township. That's great. There are software applications that you could use to help you do that. There are manual ways to do that. Or you can look for the inspection sticker on the electrical panel. That's a handy way of doing it. Electrical system, the meter was in good condition, service line, main electrical panel, got some pictures of it, disconnect, the size, breaker labeling was not done well. They'll identify the wiring type, circuit breakers, and grounding that I saw, the double tap is a problem, and the last page. So, and about the comment about the inspection sticker. So that's how I write my inspection reports of this system. And structure is next. I take very large pictures of the system. I take pictures of every plane of the roof field, right? Every field, every plane of the roof. And then also I take pictures of, so there's the offer there. If you're looking for an offer to join InterNACHI at a 50% discount for non-members, that's for your first year. You can go to your pop-ins tab, click the pop-in tab, there's an offer there, and you click the I'm interested button and join. And the offer ends in about 20 minutes. So back to the, sorry, getting all my buttons here. Back to the structure system. So there's the slides. Taking very large macro pictures. The stairs have no problems. And I like to take a picture of the under the stairs, see if there are any structural problems. There they are. The sump pump in some areas, in a lot of areas of the country, you have a bucket essentially filled with gravel, perforated bucket, water underneath the floating slab in the basement, finds the lowest spot, fills up the bucket. There's a float on a pump, and that pump turns on and discharges the water outside. So that's a sump pump. On the basement walls, you can see efflorescence. So I see a lot of efflorescence. Efflorescence is salt deposits left behind when water interacts with masonry units. So that's an indication of moisture coming in. So I've got water coming in, I've got watermarks. A great home inspector is essentially a really good moisture inspector, we have a certified moisture inspector certification program, a training program, but we also have on inspector outlets all of these moisture meters and tools to help you identify moisture. And yeah, efflorescence, indications, just about everywhere there's exposed foundation wall, I'm looking at moisture, indications of water penetration, moisture intrusion, efflorescence, and a lot of probably humidity coming into the house as well, into the basement. Well, if you go to nachi.org/efflorescence, you get to a nice article about what is efflorescence, what is that white stuff. And here it is. So you go here, here's the article, and it describes what efflorescence is. It also has a really cool video about how porous materials like this wicks water using a capillary process. And you know, it's just like a tree. How does a tree bring all of its water all the way up to the top of the leaves? So the theoretical limit of capillary rise is 6 miles. That's 6 miles straight up. And the effect is pretty amazing. Osmosis can create pressure that's greater than the structural strength of concrete, which can be from 2,000 psi to 3,000 psi. The action of water rushing to the surface due to capillary action creates incredible forces that can cause materials to crack, flake, and break apart. So that's why you sometimes get to a brick veneer that's absorbed moisture and has blown off the face. So really good training that's available for inspectors out there. And I have my moisture probe. That's an extendable probe with 2 prongs. Just tells me audibly if there's moisture detected. There are water stains on the drop ceiling. I think that's from a bathroom problem. It was underneath the half bath. Taking a look at the structure itself, looking for anything out of the ordinary. There's the first floor toilet. There's some water stains from a leak from the first floor half bath or kitchen area. The structure looks great. I can't find any indications of moisture above the foundation wall or indications of wood damage, maybe from insects. So the structure looks great. And that's the report there. And the report components, there's the structure, there's the basement, general foundation information, basement restrictions. I always mention a restriction if I can, either with a picture or with words in every system, because I can't see everything. And a lot of people think home inspectors, we're required to report everything that we see or see everything, even if we can't. So I always put restrictions in there. And then I describe the foundation wall, floor type and condition, any signs of water coming into the home, and how I observe that water. And then mention the sump pump. And then sump pump should have a battery backup as well. So if you're in a flood area or an area that gets a lot of water and you have a sump pump, you should have a battery backup. Attic is the next system. And I go up in the attic and like to take pictures of all the structural components. This is a relatively small, easy access attic. And I'm looking at anything that goes through the roof or vents in the roof, in the attic space. So there's bathroom vents discharging into the attic. That's not very good. All bathroom vents should discharge outside. And also have disconnect of the vent pipe from the drain waste vent pipe system. That's disconnected in the attic. Just found there. I didn't pull it apart. It was just found like that. And the insulation looks okay. I don't see any roof leaks. I like to see if there's a fire break, a wall there, a collar, where the stack goes through into the attic space. I'm looking at clips, plywood clips. I'm looking at the ventilation trays. I'm looking at patterns, so I can easily see everything is in alignment and balanced, nothing out of place except for this floor. So the bottom chord of this truss structure is only about 3.5 inches. And that means that there is a lack of insulation underneath this flooring, this plywood flooring that was applied in the attic space for extra storage. And so they compress the insulation down to the thickness of the cord, the height of the cord, the bottom cord of the roof truss structure. And it's only 3.5 inches thick. Ideally, we want 10, 12, 16 inches of insulation in this northern climate, cold climate. And the dryer was exhausting into the attic space. And you may have seen this picture in the email invite to the webinar class. That's dryer lint coming from the dryer exhausting right into the attic space. Incredible. And there's lint all over the place. And the pull-down stairs added by the homeowner after the house was built, and then they applied flooring in the attic and compressed the insulation. But this is essentially a large hole that's allowing the home to lose conditioned air through a natural stack effect. Homes and buildings, commercial buildings as well, have this natural draft that goes vertically, and because of stack effect. And we teach this in our building science and energy courses. It's essentially a hole. So they're heating and conditioning, air conditioning the air, but it's escaping out through this large hole. It's not insulated. It's not air sealed. So the heating system is working more than it needs to in both the summer and winter months. So it's very inefficient. There's the attic roof, attic system. There's the header, primary method of evaluation, the framing, no signs of water penetrations. I didn't observe any indications of roof leaks. Sewer vent pipes, that needs to be corrected. That's disconnected there. The bathroom fans are exhausting into the attic, and the dryer is also exhausting into the attic, and that's just not good. So and there's the last page. Some missing insulation, and there's no insulation at the pull down stairs, essentially a hole in the roof, in the insulation barrier envelope. Laundry. So they disconnected eventually the exhausting vent pipe into the attic space, probably because they had storage up there. If you remember, there was a storage floor and it was getting lint all over the place. So they disconnected it, and now they're venting into the laundry, which isn't a great idea either. The dryer should just be piped properly outside and vented outside. It's electric. There's a gas pipe with a valve and a cap. The discharge from the clothes washer and the water supply lines. The hot valve was leaking from the stem, little washer replacement. It was plugged in, and the water catch pan on the second floor laundry clothes washer area was cracked and damaged. And the report describes that as well. And we're wrapping up the inspection by doing the bathrooms, which is very easy to do. Just run water at all the fixtures, showers, tubs. There was a chip that was repaired, and the drain plug was loose. GFCIs were tested. The master bathroom toilet wobbled on the floor. It's easy to do. You use your knee, actually. You just step to the side of the toilet and just use your knee to see if you can get the toilet to move a little bit. Without much pressure, you can test that. So the bathrooms were inspected, and not much going on there. Marketing for your business. So we actually have a marketing department for our members. The marketing department for our members designs logos, redesigns existing logos, business logos for our members' businesses, designs all of our members' business cards and brochures and flyers and rack cards and anything you want to customize. Just give our marketing department a call, and here's some logos that we've recently designed. So if you're pulling your business logo down from the internet, somebody probably owns it and you're not allowed to use it for your own. What you really want to do is have your own business logo, and we help you design it by developing your brand. We ask you about your brand. We try to figure out what distinguishes you from all the competition, and we design your business logo. and all of your brochures and flyers and business cards. All that design work is free for our members. All you do is place an order. So if you haven't contacted the marketing department of InterNACHI yet, that's a mistake. So go to nachi.org/marketing. Interior, very easy. Windows, doors, receptacles. Windows, doors, receptacles. Windows, doors, receptacles. Flooring, whenever there's forced air duct, I like to open up the registers, the wall registers, the floor registers, ceiling, and stick my hand in there and see what's in there. Usually I find a lot of stuff that's disgusting, so I wear gloves. But I show my client that the HVAC system is the heart and lungs of the house. And a lot of indoor air quality issues come from lack of maintaining the duct system. And usually ducts are filled with stuff, even from the very beginning of the home's life, when the builder had the contractors just broom sawdust and nails into the ductwork, right? So sometimes I find big piles of sawdust and nails and chips in the ductwork. Well, that could be a very valuable piece of information. It may not be negotiated upon prior to closing, but something that the homeowner, your client, can do after they move in, get the ducts cleaned. And all the fixtures and the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, you test them and take pictures of everything. There's spindles that are spaced too far apart. When the house was built 15 years ago, it met code. People got injured. Little children got injured with large spaces. They updated the code, and now it's tighter. And I want to comment upon that. I'm not a code inspector, but I'm looking for safety issues, indications of problems. And that's a problem for a child. And when I get down to the first floor, I like to take pictures of the ceiling, especially right underneath the bathrooms. So I want to make sure that there's nothing going on there. You can use an infrared camera, infrared for the iPhone 5, iPhone 6, or a moisture meter, or an infrared camera. That'd be really sweet. And the interior is very easy, hardly any pictures, but a lot of nitpicky things. And before we get to the kitchen, we actually have an appliance inspection course. It's online and free to our members. And it's on our education page that we mentioned before, nachi.org/education. So if you're unfamiliar with how to inspect a kitchen, we actually have how to inspect a kitchen course, essentially, appliance course. But simply run water, look for leaks. There's a live electrical line that was discovered with a little voltage meter, tick tracer. And that was a garbage disposal that was removed, but the live line is still hanging there underneath the drainage pipe underneath the kitchen sink. GFCIs were tested. All kitchen counter receptacles should be GFCI protected. And we ran a little short cycle at the dishwasher, turned the stove on, the gas stove, the burners, and the oven, then turn them off. One of the things that we did with our inspectors is they were not allowed to let go of the oven handle when testing the oven, because one time we left the oven on. And it wasn't high temperature, but it was a bit embarrassing. So we changed our procedure on how to inspect a stove, and you don't let go of the oven handle until you're completely done. So, and then we turn on a microwave with our little microwave detector that lights up when it hits some microwaves, and you can get that inspector outlet as well. And there's the kitchen report. Within the scope of a home inspection, I look for anything that damages wood, and insects damage wood, some insects. In some states, we have comments from the Department of Agriculture that license pesticide applicators. They say if a home inspector doesn't actually identify the bug and stays within the scope of a home inspection, they can still look for things that damage wood. And this field guide helps you identify what you're looking at. So you can take it, it's laminated, highly laminated, UV protected. And if you happen to see bugs, you can use this field guide to help you do your inspection well, and also describe to your client what you are seeing. And carpenter ants and termites are related to moisture, carpenter ants especially. Carpenter ants love moisture, rotten wood. And each one builds nests, tubes or constructed by termites. And those are pretty common in the United States, those two bugs. And carpenter bees on the outside, those big fat bumblebees that drill perfect round holes and discharge. So a couple of the bugs that damage wood would be a good idea to know. The offer. So if you go to the offer, on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a little pop button. There's a chat button and a pop button, and there's an offer to join InterNACHI at a 50% discount off your first year membership, and for non-members only who are attending the live class. So if you're seeing this on YouTube right now, you haven't attended the live class, it's not available. So we're offering that to people. And we're wrapping up the live class. I want to make sure that we get to every slide. Two things I want to leave you with are these two URLs. NACHI.org/webinar is where we have all of our recorded video recordings of our live classes. And NACHI.org/everything is a 15 step-by-step checklist on how to run a successful home inspection business. And that's at NACHI.org/everything. And so I see that there are a lot of chats going on, a lot of questions, and we could go over all the questions one by one, but I think I want to respect your time, and I'm going to answer those questions individually by email. So feel free to email me if you didn't ask the question that you wanted. My name is Ben Gromicko. My email is ben@internachi.org, and we can talk later via email. Ask me anything. Feel free to call me or email me. And this has been a home inspection class number 9. My name is Ben. I'm from InterNACHI. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for the class. Talk to you all later. Bye.